My name is Bond.
Bond.
It's Bond. Bond.
It's Bond.
It's Bond.
James Bond.
IO Interactive. Same ones that are bringing us all this Hitman goodness over the last 3 games is now working on what they are calling Project 007. They announced it. I didn't do a official covering of the teaser trailer because it was just a teaser trailer, but after playing Hitman 3 and getting all the way through Hitman 3 and actually just running through all 3 of the Hitman games, I'm like, I really want to do something Let's Talk wise on just this whole Project 007 and what this thing could actually turn out to be. What I did was I sat back and checked out all the trailers of all the James Bond movies to really get a sense of all the different eras of James Bond, because a lot of times the trailers give away mostly of who and what James Bond is trying to be in the movies. Trailers do give away a lot of movies anyways. So then I sat back and just wrote out a whole bunch of little plot point guidelines. So first thing I do want to do though is watch the actual. Let's just watch this really quick. It is 60 seconds long. Sliding the bullet in. You hear that ring of the music. Bullet is in the chamber, and of course the looking down the barrel of the gun, which is classic Bond. One of my favorite songs in movies. I love that theme song. The 2 ones that I know is these 2 is IO Interactive and the MGM. It's James Bond, so everybody's going to buy this thing. So there is a description that they put out too. It's Bond, James Bond. MGM's going to help them publish it. A wholly original Bond story will see the players earn the 00 status in the very first James Bond origin story. So it is going to be an origin story. A lot of people really love origin stories. They do like to see, the character become into something. Whenever you see a character in a movie or a game or whatever, overcoming, themselves to become that legendary thing. Hopefully it doesn't take the whole game to earn the 007 status. Hopefully it is just kind of the first maybe chapter or a few missions anyways. If they go episodic with it, which I'll get into a little bit more later on, of how I'd like to see the storyline get handled and everything, maybe the first episode is you becoming the 007 status of an agent, and then James is on his way to doing his first real assignment that M gives him. I think that would work really well. So then you're not just trying to chase the 007, you become it very quickly. And now you are in the shoes. So you and Bond are going on this adventure and very quickly are into the action of, the meat and potatoes of what James Bond is. Proprietary Glacier technology will be made for modern systems and platforms. Glacier technology, I think, is the Hitman game engine. So I actually can't find the game engine. What they use for a game engine, I'm not seeing it, because usually it's in the descriptions and everything, and even in the development of it. PS5 events, a lot more mature, dark. The stuff about Stadia being a stream game. 18, the last games reported was Hitman on GameCube. So I'm guessing that is the same game engine that is being used, because it's IO Interactive's game engine, so more than likely they're going to be using that. Anyways, so it'll be made for modern day systems and platforms, so that means all your ray tracing features, your high frame rates, all that stuff. Hopefully it'll be very easily moddable. I mean, James Bond with mods could be pretty cool on the PC side of things. Currently in active development in Copenhagen, Denmark, Sweden. Both locations are recruiting elite talent from across the world to join the team. It's true that once in a while the stars do align in the industry, creating original Bond games among them are taking. Our passionate excitement to unleash the creativity, iconic James Bond universe. Hopefully they are on the same level of like fandom like Insomniac was when they were making Spider-Man, because Spider-Man, the reason why Spider-Man came out so good was it was like really hardcore fans creating, you know, the whole universe and the characters and just bringing everything to life. So hopefully they are some really big time, you know, 007 fans. Let's see here. James Bond has a strong legacy in the video game space with some of the most iconic games of all time. So I really hope they don't go like, okay, GoldenEye 64 works, so it has to have a multiplayer mode. I really hope they get away from that and they take the vision that they have and execute it to the best of their ability. Which is where I kind of wanted to jump in with my own like kind of 2 cents on everything with like the blueprint. So here's my take on what I would make for a James Bond game. So starting with James Bond, I would make the character really a mix of the newest James Bond, which is Daniel Craig's version of James Bond, and Sean Connery, probably the original, you know, a little bit of the suave, a little bit of, you know, it's kind of the emotion on his sleeve. Just have it be its own original character, but take references and pieces of those characters and throw it all together. I feel like that's the two actors and the 2 eras of James Bond. That's the 2 names that always comes up a lot of the time. Is the Daniel Craig and the Sean Connery. People love the original and then they love the latest movies. But also, I would definitely say, you know, have some of the suave, you know, wise ass moments that Daniel Craig has, and then with some of the punchy one-liners, and you know, but also keep it strong and silent. So a mixture of a little bit of everything. Nothing should come off too strong on one way or the other, and that would be a very nice little mix for Bond to have. So punchy one-liners, but also strong and silent at the same time, you know, to get players set up for the combat. So then the combat moments are payoffs to the overall story rather than, you know, forced gameplay segments of, okay, this moment is building, and then all of a sudden the payout is like, boom, okay, we have this combat situation that you can tackle any which way. Always awesome to me when you're supposed to go rescue another character and that character turns out to be a badass, and it's like, okay, let's just have some fun with this. So I would say Agent 47 comes near the mark of this. So yeah, Hitman, definitely. There's so much James Bond influence in Hitman. You can easily, you know, just feel it. You play like 2 levels of Hitman, you're like, oh, this is supposed to be kind of a James Bond-esque, you know, situation here. But Bond would need to be a little bit more, you know, like hard-headed emotion. So definitely Bond is emotional, but he's hard-headed at the same time. I think that's where Daniel Craig really nailed it, of like, okay, I don't give a I don't care at all what the situation is. I'm going to go in head first and blow up a building, you know, take out all the guards, and there's nothing that's going to stop me. And if they capture me, I'm just going to laugh in their face and be like, you don't know what you've done. You've got me in the room with you. It's not Dom, and you know, the situation is just like Bond is always in control. He fights with his mind and loves with his emotions, but he never ends up perfecting either. And I think that's what makes both Daniel Craig and Sean Connery's performances as Bond so iconic, is that they get their butts whooped nonstop. Then they end up coming back from it and start to kind of get the revenge. And imperfect perfectionists, they get beat down, then they get pissed, then they come back for revenge, and it just works. It's the human nature of things, and especially in a game that would be so well received. We've seen that time and time again. Even recently, we've seen that time and time again. Matter of fact, the one of the last levels, spoiler alert, But one of the last things that you do in Hitman 3 is you're on this kind of revenge kick against the storyline moment that happens, right at the end. I don't want to get too much into it for spoiler reasons, but if you played it, you know what I'm talking about. That would go so well into a James Bond of, it's just like Daniel Craig, when Vesper gets killed off in the movie, it's like Bond is going through this whole thing of like, I know she was playing me. I still want to get revenge. It was the love of his life, but at the same time, he knows he got played. That is such a great dynamic to have in the Bond, storyline. And I want to say universe, but I mean, I guess it is. It really is the Bond universe that they create with each era of Bond. But the reason why I hesitate to say universe overall is because Bond is always a shifting character. It's always a different style of character. So that's why I say take references off from those portrayals of Bond. Don't just straight up copy of it. Make it, maybe it is Agent 47 just with more emotion. It's still Bond-esque. It's still a reference to the original stuff that everybody knows, but it's different enough to keep everybody, wondering what the next thing is going to be. So let's go into the visual style of it. I would love to see this thing be ultra realistic. It seems like it's going to be just from the CGI, trailer teaser that they dropped. It's definitely way off. It's years off and everything, but ultra realistic with rendered cutscenes, similar to how Hitman 3 does. That's, it worked really well with Hitman 3. It's just, I think they could just use a bigger budget to make the cutscenes look better. In all honesty, Hitman 3 looked awesome. It looked great, especially running on the next gen, version of it. So I streamed the PS5 version of it, and it was just like, I'm looking at the reflections, the shadows, the lighting sources, and all that stuff, and it was just like, wow, yeah, this looks amazing. So if it's the same game engine, the engine that Hitman runs, it definitely does not seem to favor in-game cutscenes, but it definitely favors, like in-game gameplay. And we've seen the quality of it, again, spoiler alert, but Hitman 3, there is a moment where 47 is talking with Diana, and the quality of the level of detail was just kind of in half in that cutscene. So I'm like, okay, pre-rendered cutscenes, pretty good. In-game engine, maybe they need to work on it a bit, which they're going to have years to work on it. I'm pretty sure they've just finished wrapping up Hitman 3, so they are just starting work on this Hitman game, which is the reason why I wanted to make this video. So I guess the next thing would be going into the story. I would say episodic storyline, like Hitman, as they were just doing with Hitman. It would work. I feel like a normal release style would also work, as long as any DLC episodes that might come afterwards are at a reasonable price. So not $20 episodes, maybe like a $5 to $10 episode of an extra DLC, or maybe a couple guns or something, or suits or something, like the likeness of $15 you can play as like Daniel Craig or Sean Connery in the game. I think that'd be reasonable, because license likenesses are expensive. But if it went fully episodic, that'd be fine also, because it's pretty much the same price. You see the episodic stuff go on sale all the time. You can buy them kind of as you get the cash to get them. So I think that'd be fine. If they did go episodic once again. It is a little weird trying to get the season passes for season 1, season 2, season 3. It is kind of weird doing that, and I definitely have noticed, like I think it's Hitman 2 season pass, like the full thing is like $100 versus $60 that you'd be paying for just but if you go with just the baseline games, it's like $30-$40. So I'm like, okay, it's pricing. But the main thing of the story, though, make each location be its own separate adventure, similar to how Hitman does it. I think they have this really good set thing of like every map, every episode is this like expanded storyline that really flows together. But then with an overall weaving plot line that forms, you know, the whole overall story throughout. And I think they do that so well through the, you know, this latest Hitman series. They've set up so well to bring that into a James Bond episodic series also. One major request that I would say is let's go to MI6 to maybe customize loadouts, do a bit of training, so figure out maybe to lead the tutorials in MI6. That kind of also happened where we jumped into the training facility, I think it's called, in Hitman. And it really feels like you're going to MI6, which is cool. And then maybe even have a mission set in MI6 where the building's under attack and you have to save M or the dude that does the R&D or you know, whatever characters that they got in the game. M might not even be there. Who knows? We have no idea. It's an origin story. But again, let's have that 007 status and then have MI6 under attack, and maybe that's the way that's the final thing that really cements you as a 007 agent. I think that mission would be a very critical one to have, because it's that moment of like, oh, we can trust this guy, you know, and then you earn your status, you know, tenfold. Also, to go along, it's like a little mini piece to go in between story and gameplay. A dialogue tree system. I was thinking about how they could do that. I think it could be fun, but I think it would be a little overkill possibly for just the way that the game engine, if you were to stick a dialogue tree in Hitman, it might come off a little extra, and I don't know, maybe a little overkill. But at the same time, you know, if you do it right, you can feel like you're in the shoes of Bond, you know, especially if you're talking smack and doing one-liners back and forth in those moments where he is talking to the main villain. And if you had like a little mini dialogue tree, not too much, maybe just like a little 5-minute little haha, hoo-hoo, haha moment going back and forth, I think that'd be really cool. It lets you step really, you know, really in the shoes of Bond and be like, yeah, I just trash talk that guy. If it's done lazily though, then it's just going to be something extra that just gets in the way of you making progress through the storyline. So you got to be really careful on how you approach that. The next thing would be the gameplay. So the Hitman gameplay is, I mean, hands down, that's some of the closest thing to a really solid James Bond game since the actual official James Bond game that came in before that starred Daniel Craig in them. Those games were really good, but they were all first-person shooter, and I don't think first-person shooter works with James Bond. It's just he's too much of kind of the action hero to be limited to this, you know, to having like the tunnel vision of you always just looking down your gun and being able just to move sideways. You should be able to, you know, roll over a box, go into cover, and then pop up and go into disguises and everything like 47 does, Agent 47 does. I would like to see, you know, Bond's animations be a bit more animated than Agent 47 now. Agent 47 is totally just like a stealthy Terminator. He's just very stiff. He walks in, he gets the job done. He has no emotions, and which works for Agent 47. That's his character. That's what he's supposed to be. But Bond is way more. He's always in a loose flow. You know, he's just in nav cover. Everything he does is like a dance. You know, it's that confidence, focused confidence on just like getting the job done. But he's not stiff about it. He's very just like, okay, I got this. I know what I'm doing. You know, it's just that level of confidence that he has. The hand-to-hand combat should be, you know, half on-the-fly thinking and then half street brawler. James Bond is not a kung fu expert by any means. He's more like a street fighter. But also, he's always using his brain. He's basically Batman without all with limited gadgets. pretty much. Like, he's always just on the fly thinking of like, okay, I'm gonna grab this and dong up inside that guy's head, grab the other thing, throw it at him, and then hiya bang, throw him into the wall or whatever, and then kick that guy over the rail. It's just very just loosely based, like whatever's in vicinity I can reach. And a lot of times, you know, he'll get smacked upside the head, grab somebody, and then they'll grab him and they start choking him and whatnot. Like I said, Bond gets his ass beat a lot, but it's so good seeing it. So I think that would translate really well into the game of like, don't make it just like you were just this overpowered superhero. That's not Bond, and it shouldn't be. It should be always that you are. It's maybe a little bit tougher, and that and also don't make enemies punching bags either, because if the more the enemies are just punching bags, like make it easy to do, hard to master. If you get to combat like that, you're gold. That's what every game should be: is easy to enter, hard to master, but also be able to unlock abilities and such too. Would be, you know, over the top, be great. You don't want to be just doing the same thing throughout the whole game, which in a sense that's where Hitman kind of, you're just doing the same thing over and over again. It's really the story of what's happening in the world, in each level, because each level is so different and the stories are so different. You are essentially just walking over it, or putting people to sleep or shooting them or whatever. Picking something up in the game world, throwing at them, grab the disguise, and on you go. And then you're just doing that over and over and over and over again. So Bond should definitely have some stuff where, like, okay, I just unlocked this new ability, but also don't make the abilities, don't go over the top with the abilities. Don't have it to where if you kick somebody, they go flying across the room. Ragdoll physics should work, just keep it based in realism. That's I think that's the biggest point, because Bond is absolutely 100% based in realism. Everything, you don't have any space age technology in it. I mean, there was the James Bond where they had the car that disappeared, and whatnot, but they explained it in like a scientific way. So it's rooted in realism. Like, it's there, but it's rooted. And then I think one last final thing to talk about in this video would be the VR mode, where Hitman VR is fun, but definitely could use some work. It was awesome playing Hitman VR. I had a ball with that. The only thing is just the level of detailing at far distance and the draw distance. It could be upped. That would definitely help. Pop-ins, slightly took you out of the whole experience. But that is also limitations of hardware. It's just PSVR and the amount of resources that the PSVR can do. Totally understandable. We need a PSVR 2 to come out sooner or later, to make all these VR experiences really pop, and hopefully it won't be overpriced. But 007 VR would be amazing, on the same level as like a Batman or even Hitman, VR. Wow. And there's definitely that laid foundation from Hitman VR that I could definitely see carry over to Project 007. There's so much stuff is just right there. They just need to execute on making a really, really awesome product of the whole thing. And I think IO Interactive, they got a good head start in the right direction. I have a lot of faith that they can really build upon what they did with the Hitman series so far. And I mean, it could be a giant miss. It could turn out very bad. We've seen this time and time again with developers where they get this ball on the tee and they just need to knock it out the park, and something goes wrong. I think they've already kind of triumphed over going in that wrong direction and doing something that the fans did not agree with, which was, I guess, Hitman Absolution. I kind of liked the game myself. I thought it was a pretty solid game, but I don't know. It didn't sell as well as they wanted it to. So I think they're back on a good level. They're back on a solid playing field to do what they want to do, and it's going to come really down to if they have the vision to execute a really solid Bond experience that is unique to their own vision of what they want to do, but at the same time very familiar to the fans of the series. It's a very fine line hitting that, but it can be done. We've seen it with games like Spider-Man. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it comes out. I'm definitely keeping it's got my interest 110% peaked. I'm going to be definitely keeping an eye out for it, and I don't think we're going to be seeing it for a few years. I think this is, the teaser came out a little too soon, if anything. I think they should have kept this under wraps for a little while. Maybe there was a leak or a rumor that was going to happen or something. They got caught wind of it, so they're just like, well, we'll let it out there. But I don't think we're going to be seeing this game until the next James Bond in the movies is, announced. If this is pretty much Daniel Craig's last Bond film, whoever comes after Daniel Craig, it's going to be that person's, that person as James Bond versus the actual James Bond character that is in the game. It's going to be those two things headbutting back and forth, which is great for us, the consumers, the fans of James Bond. So, yeah. I'm going to wrap this up and say thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, then definitely maybe go and check out my Twitch channel. That's where I live stream all the time, and I have all the VODs on this channel too, here on YouTube. There's a bunch of VODs on here of me playing Hitman and other games too. There's a bunch of different stuff. Let's talk more of these, talking point videos and everything. And I will be making videos on trying to bring back some maybe forgotten series. So yeah, this has been a Hitman blueprint, I guess, for the developers of what I would like to see them do. And yeah, hopefully you agree with some of these points. If you don't, then hey, leave in the comment section to say what your ideal Hitman game would be. Again, I think third person over the shoulder thing, but maybe not over the shoulder. Third person action stealth game in that weird mix that James Bond has. Like, it's a little bit of Hitman, a little bit of action hero, and get that fine line balance between the two of them. I think would be a great thing. But you also need to nail the James Bond character, a character version of 007 that everybody gets interested in and likes. It's going to be the hardest hurdle to get over. Can they do it? We have to see. We have to wait to find out. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. And as always, I will see you next time.